Now we'll start with creating a new database, and then we will explore all the DDL statements. Okay, the create, alter, and drop these statements. I'm going to create a new database. I just right click on the database here, new database. As a developer, it is your responsibility to create the tables also, tables and all the, the couple of objects like index, views, everything. But you need to, it is not that you have to create it. You need to create the script, share it with the DBA, and he will add certain parameters or options, in addition to the scripts, whatever you shared it with him. Okay. For example, the table, you create table, constant, everything, you define it. But again, which table space the table needs to be created, partition needs to be created or not, or that will be determined by the database administrator. Okay. It is a joint effort of both the SQL developer as well as the DBA, though it can be created only by the DBA. Okay. Database name is demo DB. I just say demo DB. It's already there. Demo database. Here I mentioned the database name. Once you mention the database name, you directly go and hit OK. That's it. Okay, now database is ready. In a matter of a second, the database got created. Okay. And now what I do is, here I'm going to create a couple of tables. For that, what I do is, look here, I just go and click on the new query here. Okay. And first step is I create a database, and then I'm going to click on the new query here. So that on the right side, it will open up something like that. This is where we can create we can write the queries, DDL commands and all, we'll use it. And what I'll do is I'm going to start with, I'll just create a table and let's, custom to something like that. Some table name, okay, ID, int, the column name is ID, and the int, comma, and name or something like varchar. Varchar is the text data type. And here I'm going to use the semicolon, okay. And what I do is, just before this, I make sure that I select the database. What is my database name? Demo database. You just type 3 letters. It automatically, it gives you the code completion feature. This is called as code completion feature. Here, in the drop down, you can go and select the database that is already available. You don't have to type the entire database name. And you click on execute. Now we have different databases are available. We have selected this database. Currently, we are into this demo database, the newly created database. In this database, I'm going to create this table. Here, at the end of this one, I have used this semicolon. And you can see some red color tilde kind of thing is there. That means there is something wrong with the syntax. So what is the issue here? The varchar within the parenthesis, I mentioned 20. The width of the name should be 20. Okay, it will accommodate 20 letters in that name column. For that, I have to, this is width, the 20 is the width of this column name, and it is of the text data type, varchar. Okay, but since I've used the parenthesis for this one, right? For this parenthesis, the closed parenthesis intended for this one. Whenever you use open parenthesis, you need to use the corresponding closed parenthesis. And for this parenthesis, we don't have corresponding closed parenthesis. Hence, it is displaying something like, the syntax error, something red color. If you see something syntax error, make sure that you are putting one more parenthesis. Very good. Now that red color thing is gone. And then you can click on the execute. The table got created. Very simple one. So how do I insert the data into this table? I'm going to select the table name, insert into custom to, I just say 10, shut off. And I'm going to save it, press F5 or click on the, here, What is the problem here? Insert into table space values. We are supposed to give values here. Okay, let me do one thing, values. This is the syntax for this. If you don't use values, it will throw an error. There is another option that I will explain later. Okay, and insert into table. That's all. Now, if I want to select, this is a manual way of creating the select star from custom to. I don't have to type the entire table name. Just in the drop down, you select it, and I'm going to select this one, press F5. Look here in the results window, you can see that the two columns, ID and name, and then the values which we inserted in the 10 and Sharaf, it is displaying it here. Supposing I wanted to rename this table, how can I do that? Renaming a table. I'm going to put a comment so that you can refer it back. What this below comment is all about. If you want to know it, you need the comment. Okay, rename the table name. Rename the table. So you have something called exec. You need to there is a package called sp underscore rename. What is your current table name? Custom to, comma, I'm going to say the something called, something like customer or something like that. Okay. And if you select, if you do the select from, it will say the custom to table is not available because we are renamed it to customer. Look here, the table name, it is not a case sensitive. The table name, the queries are not, case sensitive. And see, customer and the table name, I have given it as a capital C, but select star from small c, right? Customer small c. It is still working. It is not case sensitive. All right. So next, what we will do is we will create the main tables quickly. And so before, it is always a practice that if you see the database administrator script, they start with the drop table. Even though there are no table by the name of employees available, they'll start with the drop table. I just say go here to end that batch. Drop table department. Okay, because I'm going to create these two tables. Before, I want to make sure that, if any tables are already there, you just drop it and then create the new table. Okay. Create table. In this case, I start with the department table. The create table, I typed it in caps letter. This is the practice. And then, yes, what she says is, yeah, Shri, what she says, are there any scripts already there so that we can save time? Okay, good. I'll just show you with one example and then I will reuse the script. Okay, that way we can speed it up. Depart number and int. Create table depart number. Int, I mentioned it. And it's supposed to be a not null data type. Because in this table, this is the primary key column. Now what I do is the next column name is dname. Dname is let's say varchar of I just give the department name as 15. Okay, and we have something called location. Okay, location is again varchar of 15. Okay, and then followed by this, I'm going to define a primary key. So how am I defining a primary key? I can use primary key. I just say primary key, depart number. Yes, see what you said was correct, but I just show you how the the script needs to be used. What is the rationale behind this? And only when you type the commands manually, you will get to that. One or two will do it, and then I will be reusing the script. Look here, primary key on the department number. So I've used the reserved word primary key, primary space key department. So in that case, what will happen is it will not allow any duplicate values in the depart number column. And at the same time, it will not have any blank values in it. Okay, it should have some. Okay, in this case, I just remove not null. Even if I don't specify, it has to, since I've defined the primary key on the depart number column, it should be a not null column. Automatically, not null should get defined. Okay, I am going to execute this one. Executed. All right. So next one is how do I view the table structure? You can, so currently we have created this table in the demo database. In the tables and file tables, if you see here, it is not available. Though we have created this table, it is not available. Click on the refresh button here. This is your refresh. And can you all see this one, the refresh icon? Click on this. And then next to the tables, click on the plus icon. It will get expanded. You can see that file tables. Okay, I have used the demo database, right? Create table. Yeah, department is there here. Look at the department got created. What is DBO? DBO is the schema name. Okay, the database owner. So who is the owner for this table? You are the one. So who created the demo database? He is the owner for this table. Database owner dot depart number, depart table. Schema name dot table name. DBO is nothing but the schema name. What is schema? Schema is a logical structure. A single database, you can create more than one schema. For example, in a database, you want to have HR and HR, finance, and marketing departments are there. For each department, you want to create the tables, but these tables, you want, for example, HR related tables that should good grouped logically within the database. How can I do that? So create schema. Okay, HR. You can use a command called create schema HR, something like that. You can create the schemas based on the department name, and then whenever you create a table, make sure that you prefix the table with the schema name dot. For example, create table the HR dot depart, and then rest of the things. See here, if you put HR dot depart, so this table will get created in the schema called HR schema. Though you are in the same table, you can logically group the tables or objects under different schemas. You understood? That we will see it later. And again, the schema creation and all not your job. That is database administrator's job. Okay, you don't worry about that. Okay, but still, you should be knowing what is schema is all about. The DBO, when you say DBO, database owner, should not get confused. When you look at here, you will get confused. I create the table by the name of depart, but it got prefixed the DBO dot. The default schema name is database owner, DBO, default schema name. Okay, next, I want to see the table structure for the depart, right? If I click on the plus sign next to this, and you can see the various thing here. And when you expand this one, columns, depart number. Next to the depart number, you can see the key here, which means this key icon tells us this is the primary key column. Look here inside the pk, comma, int. This is an integer data type and not null. Look here, I did not specify the not null explicitly. Initially, I typed not null and then I realized it is not required because anyhow, I'm going to define this column as a primary key using the primary key keyword. This is the keyword, blue color for keyword. You have to strictly follow the syntax. You don't put it like this, okay? Primary space key. If you want to create a primary key for a specific column, this is how you need to type the keyword. Okay, but depart number, you can give whatever the way that you want to write, but your depart underscore name you can give. And the column you also depart underscore name you can give, but primary key is a reserved word. You cannot give it like, you cannot give your own command. This is kind of a command or it's a reserved word or the keyword. Okay, fine. I have created the department table with this primary key. Okay, so depart number as a primary key, but this is not the formal way of creating it. Okay, in the case of database administrator, what they will do is I'll just drop the table for the time being, and I'm going to copy paste this one And what they do is everything is correct. The primary key, what they do is they use another keyword called constraint. Constraint, space, and PK depart number. Okay. Now I'll do one. I drop this table and I will explain you what this one little later. Okay, just okay, you just see here. I just refresh this one and then I just go back to tables and the department. Look at depart, I expand this and then the columns, if you go here, the depart number, everything is there, everything is same. And when you go to the constraints here, it is not showing anything here. The key is here, the PK is the depart number, that's all. Okay. See, later point in time, if you wanted to drop the primary key, okay, what you can use the constraint name using which you can drop the primary key column. Later point in time, you realize it. I don't need the primary key depart number. I don't want the depart number to be a primary key column. So you can use this as an alternate key. I will explain you what is alternate key and what is surrogate key. What is the difference between surrogate key and alternate key? Any idea? Anybody has any idea? Since you have worked in Power BI, you should be knowing it. Alternate key and surrogate key. Any idea? Okay, that we will discuss. So let's say in this table, I want to have the surrogate key in addition to the alternate key. I'm going to say department is the alternate key and the surrogate key is going to be the unique key. Okay. So in that case, what will happen is later point in time, I create the surrogate key. I realized I don't want the department number to be a primary key. I wanted to drop this one. How will you drop it? Constraint, alter table name, drop constraint PK depart number. If you give that, the primary key constraint will get dropped. You can remove the constraint itself. You can drop a table. You can drop a column. I don't want to drop the column. Sorry, I don't want to drop the table. But mistakenly, I created a column. I want to drop the column. How can I do that? So we have something called alter. The create, alter, drop. These are called your what? These are called your DDL statement, data definition language. I'll just put it here on top of this one. We will start with the proper thing, okay? And DDL statements. What are they? Create, drop, and alter, okay? For that purpose, we use this reserved word constraint, okay? Okay, and here I just create the table now. The constraints, it is not showing it here. Okay. And here you can see that the keys as PK underscore depart number. Can you see that here? The PK, this is the one I defined as a constraint. That is what we can see it here, PK underscore depart number. And here the constraint is not showing any, let us not worry about that. And the next one is I'm going to create table. Okay, next, after creating the employee table, I'm going to reuse the script which I already have it. Okay, thereby we can save time because time is very critical. Now what I do is I just use the create table statement. And then I'm going to create another table called employee. Okay, so what I will do is I'll just reuse the command here, or let me do one thing. Let me check if I have the DDL statement. Because to type one table itself, if I take more time, right, we'll not be able to complete the training on time because time is very critical. You already made it very clear about your situation, all of you. Okay, look here, this is the table, all the columns, depart number. Up to this, I'm going to define it here. Okay, I just simply copy paste it here and make sure that, or else what I'll do is remove this one here. I just remove this, and here I just simply copy paste that one here to there. Create table employee, and we have defined all the data type. So higher date is a date data type, and so rest of them, it's a decimal data type, integer data type, and all the things very well. And at the end of the thing, right, after defining all the columns with the appropriate data type and width, lastly, I mentioned about the constraints. So here, primary key is the primary key is the employee number in this table. Foreign key is the depart number. But the foreign key, the depart number in this table references the department table's depart number. 1 second, I'll just move this up, move this down here, and see this one. This column references the department's table depart number. That is what this is a keyword. Okay, look here, it's a plain English language, hence you can understand. So here we have created the foreign key constraint. What is the constraint name? FK depart number. Okay, and with this we can understand what are the constraints are there in a table. So there are situations in a single table you have to create multiple constraints. In that case, if you wanted to understand which constraints belongs to which column, with the help of this constraint name, we can easily find out. So we can directly use primary key, foreign key, but this is the best practice. Okay, and for the primary key, you can give some name, for this constraint. Okay, fine. So now you understood in the employee table, employee number is the primary key, whereas the department number is the foreign key, because the data for this depart number should come from the depart table's depart number. That we have defined it very clearly here. Okay. It's something like spouse. As for this guy, she is the wife. That's all. Okay. There should not be something else, right? Something like that. Okay. We have defined the constraints very clearly here. Okay. And here the reference department. Very good. So we are done with this. And what are the other things? I just go here and unique constraint. Next one is employee 2 and phone number, something like that. Okay. Okay. And here I just go and click on the execute. Yes, commands succeeded. And if you go here and if you refresh it, you can see let me do one thing. I'll just sometimes you may have to close it and open it. Look here. Sometimes you need to minimize it and maximize it and then refresh it. Now the DVM, now only it is appearing. This is something strange, right? So don't worry. Fine. But anyhow, to create to learn the SQL query, you need to create the table, everything. You cannot afford a database. Look here, we have another thing. So next one is the unique constraint. Now we understood what is primary key constraint, what is foreign key constraint, how we can define the primary key constraint, unique constraint as part of the table definition itself. In the case of employee table, I have shown you how to create the primary key constraint, how to create a foreign key constraint. Fine. Next, what kind of situation unique constraint can be created? What is the difference between primary key constraint and unique key constraint? So both of them allows unique values in a column. Then why there is a two different constraints with a different name? In the case of unique constraint, you can insert a null. For example, in this case, phone number, right? So phone number, still if you see the village, right, rural areas, even there are some citizens, they don't even have the phone number. Even my maid, when I asked her, do you have mobile number? She said no. Okay. So in that case, you put null there, right? You should allow null. You cannot expect all the employees to have mobile number. Forget to employ some citizens. Okay. So usually what we do is the phone number is the candidate column to define the unique constraint. So here, primary key constraint, foreign key constraint. With this example, I have shown you how to define a unique constraint. In this case, I have unique constraint on the phone number. Phone number should be unique. Each person should have the same phone number, right? But don't say me and my spouse using the same phone number. Okay, don't bring up that one. Okay, but the common phenomenon is the phone number will be unique, right? Each person will have a unique phone number. The phone number will not be same. Okay, and for that I've used the unique constraint. Okay, and can I create more than one primary key constraint on a table? You cannot. That is illogical. You cannot create it. But in this case, we have created a unique constraint on the phone number. But employee ID can be a primary key. You can have the combination of primary key as well as a unique key constraint in a table. Okay, but the unique key this column will allow only the unique value, and at the same time it will allow you to enter the null value. Okay, you can create the unique constraint based on more than one column also. Similarly, in the case of primary key, you can create the primary key column based on the combination of columns. Based on the combination of columns. That is called your composite primary key. Okay, composite primary. That I will explain later. Let's go step by step. Okay, you can have the composite primary key. In this case, we have a unique primary key, right? We have used only one column. Okay, and in the case of unique, also you can create the combination of column. You can get the unique constraint. Okay, and the next one is okay. The next one is I just go over here, and then we will see what alter table. Look here, the employee table. I have used already. I did this one. Unique M phone. Okay. Supposing you did not create this constraint, later point in time you realized I need to create a unique constraint on the phone number. In that case, alter table, you are going to modify this table by including a constraint on this table. I'll just show you this one also here. Let me do one thing. I just supposing you have created a table without any unique constraint. Okay, and for example here I just go here, and then you create the table. Okay, employee to drop table. So in this case I am going to use the drop table since I have already created it, and I need to drop the table first. But guys, remember that just because in the demo session I'm using drop table, never ever try this option even in the development environment. Once even I did the mistake and everything got messed up. Okay, so look here, now I'm going to create the fresh employee to table. Later point in time I realized the phone number should not be duplicated. For each employee, the unique phone number should be there. Okay, and in the later point in time after creating the table I realized there is a mistake I made. I should have defined the unique constraint for the phone number. Again, do I need to drop this table and create it? You don't have to drop the table and create it. Instead, you can use the alter table statement. Alter table, this table, which table you want to modify, right? Add constraint, unique emp name, unique phone number. Okay, so now I just go and, okay, now what I will do is I will just go and refresh this database before I create the constraint. You will see what is the status here. The tables on the left side, if you see here, the employee to table got created. When I click on the plus icon next to this, and if I click on this, I don't see any key here. And the columns also, the columns, it shows the column name, that's all. And if we compare the employee table here, if you go to the keys here, you can see that the primary key is the depart number, sorry, the key, right? This key represents primary key. This key represents foreign key. Depart number is the foreign key in the employee table, whereas the employee number column is the primary key. And if you click on the constraints here, okay, these are the constraints name as well. And can you see the indexes here? Oh, yes. Whenever you create the primary key on a specific column, behind the scene, it creates the index automatically, clustered index. Okay. And this one, I will discuss it later. Okay, let's go step by step. Okay, and the next one is no triggers. Okay, fine. And columns, when I expand it, this is with this key, you can understand the outward key is foreign key, the inward key is your primary key, the dark key. Okay. But in this case, employee 2, we don't see any keys at all, right? So here the keys is there, but here no keys, nothing. And did I, yeah, so what I will do is, I'm going to execute this command. I made a mistake while defining the table itself. I did not define the unique constraint. Later I realized, again, I don't have to drop the table. I'm going to use the alter table. With that, I'm going to, now if I refresh it, and if you click on the keys here, look here, unique. This is the unique constraint. You understood? This is how we can create the unique constraint. And then the next one is, okay, I just want to go back here, my table here, the employee table. In the employee table, I could see that the salary column here, the salary should be greater than 0. There should not be any blank value here. So in that case, what I will do is I'll just reuse this. I just copy paste an alter table. I copy this. Don't worry, I will, yes, Pavitra, I will share the scripts. Sorry, not Pavitra, Shri, okay. And here, employee, I will share all the scripts, don't worry. At the end of the session, I will share it, don't worry, okay. And employee, alter table, table name. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add a constraint, add constraint. Add constraint. And I'm going to say check salary is non-zero, okay, non-zero. Salary column is a non-zero thing, and the check constraint. This is called your check constraint. This is a reserved word, okay, and here the sal supposed to be greater than 0. That's all we are done. I'm going to click on execute now. No error, very good. And I'll just go to the employee table, DBO employee table, and I just click on the refresh icon. And if you see the constraints here, okay, let me do one thing. Look here, in this case, the constraints here, it shows check constraint, check SQL non-zero. This is the key columns. These constraints are related to key columns. This constraint is related to, this constraint is not related to key column. Now we understood that, why we did not see in the constraints the folder, nothing, right? So earlier we did not see anything here. Though we have created the constraints for the primary key and foreign key, the constraint name was appearing here itself for the primary key and foreign key, but it was not appearing here, right? So because these two are key columns, hence it displayed here itself, whereas the salary column is not the primary key or foreign key. It is a non-key column, hence the constraint which we created, the check constraint which we created in the salary column, it displays under the constraints. So now in the employee table, if you try to insert any negative value, it will not allow, it will reject the record. Now we have learned primary key constraint, foreign key constraint, and check constraint and unique constraint. And at the same time, we have learned how to add a constraint, new constraint for the existing table or already created table. If you want to add any new constraint, that is also possible. And then next one is the the default constraint, right? We have something else called the default constraint. And see, there are some cases. For example, in the case of order table, you have order table. In the order table, you have something called order ID, order number, order date, the customer ID, and line item key, and product ID. All the things are there. And which date the order has been raised. Order date column, in the order date column, what they do is, right, they use the default constraint. The default, the get date. There is something called get date function. Okay, get date function. Okay, I think it is there here, the default constraint check. Yeah, default, look here, the order table. Yeah, in the case of order date, default, the default is the reserved word, get it. Okay, get date. So by default, you put the current date into this order date column in the order date. In that kind of situation, we use get date. And okay, next one is the other example of salaried, whether person is salaried or non-salaried, the customers, right? The default is non-salaried. Okay. And in this case, you can use default. Okay. Default something like that. Other thing is other examples like custom employee type. The employees by default active employees. And if the employees only when they leave the company, you need to go in the system, in the browser, you enter the employee resigned, right? And then as a the HR department person, you'll go and and you need to, as part of your relieving formalities, the HR supposed to enter the data in the system. Behind the scene, what happens for that specific employee ID, it will update the employee status as no. Okay, the default is yes. In that kind of situation, you can use default constraint. Okay, fine. So as a developer, they are not going to ask you all things, but at the end of the day, in the real-time scenario, you need to know, right? Cannot drop table customers one. Okay, fine. Okay. The first one, you can ignore it. Already an object to customer is in the database. Okay. Customers one, and then it shows here. Okay, it's completed. Okay, the new table got created, but why I have given this example default? When to use a default concept? Look here, salary default is 0, right? So we cannot say salary is default 0. But in the customers thing, right, we put 0 here. Okay, it is not the right example. But the default is the classic example is this one, get date. In the order date, we have order date column. The order date column by default should get updated with the current system date. The get date is nothing but system date. So, and I just move over here and yes, these are the things. And drop table. Anyway, I'll share this script to you all. You can practice it. And customer ID and report ID, run date. Okay, run date, date time, and look here, constraint default is get date. You can define the constraint name also for the default also. For default constraint also, you can define some name for this constraint. Okay, using the constraint keyword. Okay, and help constraint. Okay, later point in time, if you wanted to see what are the constraints we have created it. And 1 second, there's not a okay demo database. 1 second, the customer report. Okay. And if you want to see, right, programmatically, what are the constraints we have created? Instead of seeing that here on the left side, you can use the stored procedure. There is a stored procedure using which you can find out what the constraints. For example, I just copy this. Yes, Pavitra, I understood. Okay, yeah. Here also you can see with this stored procedure, SP stands for stored procedure. These are the system defined the stored procedure. Okay, we did not create the stored procedure. It is already created by someone else from the Microsoft side. And if you see for the employee table, what are the constraints are? Can you show me that? With this stored procedure, we can see that. So the exec is the reserved word, and this is nothing but execute this the system defined the system defined stored procedure. The name is SP help constraint. Followed by this, you need to give the table name. For this table, what are all the constraints that we have created so far? Can you give me that? Yes, it gives you here. The same thing, you can see it here also, right? The employee can primary key, employee number, depart number. Look here, FK depart number, employee number, and check constraints also there, right? Instead of expanding each and everything, with the one thing, you can see it here, okay? And also you can see the definition also here, references, the depart table, depart number. It gives you the detailed information. This is really helpful later point in time, you will be realizing it, how helpful these commands are, okay? And yes, the rest of the things are insert statement. How do I created the table is fine. Next one is the DDL part. So as for the data definition language, we have explored the create, alter, and drop. Drop is drop the table. These are the three DDL related commands we have explored so far. Now the data manipulation language. Data manipulation language is nothing but the select star from table. This is one of the DML commands. And the next one is the insert statement. How can I insert the data into the department table? For this, I have used the begin, end, and go. Okay, begin, end. It's kind of a transaction, okay? Or else I just remove the begin, end here. I just remove this begin and end here, and I'm going to use go here. And here I'm going to use go. What is go statement does? If I don't use go, okay, and if I execute all the things, right, each statement will be sent one after other to the SQL server. When you use a go, look at the moment when I type go, all these statements, you can see some line here, right? When you click on this, it will get, collapsed. When you click on it, it will get expanded. So you can see that all these statements, since I've used the go followed by these 4 insert statements, what it tells is, these 4 insert statements consider batch. These 4 insert statement will be sent in one go to your SQL. Instead of sending it one after other, it is sending this 4 insert statement in bulk to the thing. It's something like, lifting, let's say you have 2 bags. If you lift one bag after another bag, it's not good, right? You are lifting 2 bags together because you want to save time. You go and purchase something in the market. 2 bags are there with you, or 3 bags are there. You can, you can go to the shop. You can buy it, 3 times. You can go to the shop 3 times, and you can fill your bag 3 times, 3 different times. Going to the shops 3 times is painful thing. What you do at one go, you carry 3 bags and you fill all the things. You carry the 3 bags together. That's a bulk thing, right? So, maybe it's a stupid analogy. That is how it works here. In bulk, it sends it to the, hence everything will get executed, in bulk. Instead of sending one after the other, it sends everything in bulk, batches. Okay. So now you learned how to insert the data. So insert into is the reserved word. Followed by this, you need to specify the table name, but make sure that the insert into all the keywords, the blue colored one, you give it in caps letter. Even I mentioned everything in small letter. It is not the right way of doing it. And you need to use the caps letter. Okay. And insert snippet. Sorry, control key, control X. Control key, control X. Okay, you forget about that. I will see that later. Okay. So now we have inserted successfully the data into the employee table. How I go and check the data that I loaded? You can simply click on this one, right? So because we are used to this one, select top 2000 rows in the department table. These are the 4 departments, records we have inserted: accounting, Atlanta, St. Louis, New York, right? Atlanta, St. Louis. So this is the data it went in here. Okay. This is the query, you can use it. You can use select star. Instead of specifying all the column, you can simply specify select star from this one and press F5. Look here, it display all the columns. Okay, and the insert into employee values, fine, everything is fine. Okay, and then the insert here. Now we are going to insert the data into my employee table. I just select all these things, and I just go and upload few records. Okay, I don't want to do it everything in one go. Sorry, not this one. And here I just put it here. Let me see what is happening here. If I give like this, execute, very good. So no error. So now the employee database also we insert the data. Okay, insert into table name. Values is mandatory, followed by values inside the parentheses. You need to specify the values for each and every column in the proper order, and make sure that you are going to specify the values for each and every column. If you don't have any value, you can specify null here. Even for the date, you need to use the code. Okay, single quote. The date should be surrounded by single quote. Okay. Now I have inserted the data into employee table also. Very good. And select star from employee. You can see that. That's all. You're all set. Very simple, man. Any of the complex part, we'll see it later. Okay. And sorry, it is already late. I took much time. We started by 8:30. Now 9. It's correct only, right? 8:30, 9:30, 1 hour. And yeah, we will take. Please bear with me because I want to compensate yesterday's thing. Okay. Fine. We are done with the employee table insertion. Very good, right? So DDL and DML you learned. And the scripts, yes, I will send it. Don't worry, don't worry. Sri, I will share it. Don't worry. Okay, I will share it right after the session to you all. Okay, what is the next thing? The next thing is this is not the correct PowerPoint. Anyhow, what I will do is today I'm going to wrap up as of this one. You can start practice all the scripts. And tomorrow also, Saturday, are you all available? Because you are in a hurry to learn, right? Most of you.